here. He is the president of the Ayn Rand Institute. We're going to talk a little bit about everything that's going on, just what we've been talking about the last... Did you miss the beginning of the show? Would you please show up on time? I'm here every day at 5 o'clock. Don't miss it. Okay, we've talked about a couple of things. In the health care bill, Section 440, there's this whole section where they say, hey, it's all voluntary. We're going to send people into your house to show you how to parent your children.
Yeah, why not? I mean, we're incompetent at making any other decision in life. Why not have the government dictate how we parent our children, how we feed them, how we clothe them, what kind of education? Oh, they run the education system already.
Yeah.
No, look, this health care bill, you know how they're going to cut costs? They're going to cut costs by telling you that you're too expensive to keep alive. They're going to cut costs by requiring that the elderly show up in front of committees of bureaucrats to justify the health care that they get. And if it's too expensive or inefficient, then you just die.
Ron,
and that's cheap.
Here, people won't pay attention to this because they'll say, that'll never happen. That'll never happen. How do we at all try to get through that? Okay, let's just say this administration doesn't do it, but you don't want to give this much power to anyone. It's never worked out well.
Well, it really hasn't. And if you go back to health care, Medicare, Medicaid, they started out as relatively small programs. They started out as, you know, they projected budgets 10, 20 years out. We are now at something like 100 times, spending 100 times more money on Medicare than the projections made in the 60s on how much we would be spending at this point in time.
Well, we were looking
These government programs always grow, and the power over our lives always grows.
Okay, let's just look at some of the programs. The income tax in 1913, it was at 1% for, you know, all the normal people.
Yeah.
And then it was 7% for the very rich.
For the very, very rich. And they promised at the time it wouldn't go anywhere. That was it.
They said people would riot in the streets if it ever got over 10%. Yes, and it would be promised it never will.
Within 4 years. 4 years. World War I is President Wilson, another one of probably our favorite presidents, launches America into one of the dumbest wars in history, World War I. Income tax rates go above 70%.
Yeah, 77 to be exact. Yes. Back with more with Yaron here in just a second. The other networks have countdown to the beer summit. I'm just counting down the end of our country and Constitution. A little difference. Yaron Brook is back with us now. You know, really, I mean, Ayn Rand knew. All government programs start with the best of intentions.
That's what they'd like you to believe.
Yeah.
But that is the essence of the problem we face in this country, are those intentions. The idea that government needs to solve these problems, the idea that we are beholden to our neighbors, the idea that our moral responsibility as individuals and as a nation is to support the weak, the unemployed, the people who are retiring and who weren't responsible enough to save. You know, the fact that we have housing policy, all of that is motivated by an ethic that says that the well-being of other people is the primary, and that's at the heart of the problem.
That's your choice as an individual. You want to help? Great. You don't want to help? Great. That's your choice.
But if you're not helping enough and you believe in that ethic, then it's the role of the government to come in and force you to help.
Correct. So, okay, so let's just show how government, you think they're saying, oh, no, we'll always keep it small. Let's just go through these. 1913, the income tax, 1% for the budman, you know, just a regular schmo like you and the president, 7% for the rich, you know, those evil rich, never more than 10% we were promised. 1918 for the rich, it was 77%. Social Security, we have 1% for the budman, 1% for the evil employers. Now it's 6 times more, but here's the catch. Social Security, the life expectancy was 63. You were never intended to get this money. Right?
I mean, it's a pyramid scheme. Look, Social Security, the whole idea of Social Security is that you have a lot of people being employed and paying into the system, a few people retiring. It's a pyramid scheme. The only difference between this and Madoff is that we're forced to participate into this, and people went into Madoff voluntarily.
And Fannie Mae, it was just limited back then. Now they own over half of all of the homes in America. Let me tell you something. The White House has its beer summit coming up in just a few minutes, and Yaron, if you'll stay, because we have our own beer summit.
Oh,
it's our very first beer summit. We're going to solve problems and heal the world. We'll do that next.